I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. I guess we got the mic set to for our featured speaker. So I'm gonna come down to the equation. But we have some very influential people here in the building today. First off, I'm gonna have Miss Kathryn McCavoy from MeeMeeTV come up and talk with you. Immediately following her will be Mr. Jim Laquidara from Audio Motion Music. And following him will be Mr. Pati from IndieMusicTV. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ms. Kathryn McCavoy.
Thank you, Uncle Nard. We are thrilled to be here. We are MeeMeeTV Jax and MeeMee.TV. We have two sister companies. One is the local television station here that shows digitally all the local artists, whether they're filmmakers or musicians. It's all Jacksonville all day long on 18.1. Also, it streams on MeeMeeTVJax.com. So, if you know anybody that's got who's local or has a local connection, who's got music videos or television shows, short films, documentaries, send them in, we'll play them. MeeMee.TV is a web-based opportunity for everyone to have their own TV channel where you can show your own stuff all day, every day, videos on demand, not streaming. And we can stream live as well, and that's what we're doing now. So you can join to when we do have a streaming event like today and watch it on your computer at MeeMee.TV. So we're happy to be here to support this this sort of project whenever we've got an opportunity to promote indie music, particularly in Jacksonville. We're up for it. So am I going to introduce Jim? David's gone. So I'm going to introduce Jim Laquidara, all right? So Jim is our featured presenter. He's going to come up. Right? Well, you were next. Is that what he said? Right, he's going to come up and talk to us about how you can make money in the indie music world, which is great. And we're going to share this with all of our local indie artists because we've got a lot of them. Thank you, Jim Laquidara.
Hello. I'm Jim Laquidara. I represent Audio Motion Music, which is a music supervision company. We license, select, and produce music for film and TV. I wanted to start out by just going over quick copyright notes to make sure that everybody is getting their music or lyrics or scripts copywritten. The easiest way to do it these days is to go to copyright.gov. You can type that in, or you can go to US/CO, it'll take you to the same place. Then you go to register copyright, and then you go to the ECO button, which is Electronic Copyright Office. You can save a lot of money by copywriting a number of items under the same work. You might look at it as an album or a group of lyrics, but if it costs $40 online to register one song, if you, instead of going under one item, go under register a work, you can register, Chris, do you know how many?
I think it's up to 10, something like that.
To 10
to 12.
To 10 or 12 items, and you can call it anything you want, but they'll consider it a work
Collection of
compilation,
works.
collection of works, and it's the same fee. So it turns into $3 to copyright something instead of $40 to copyright something. So I would urge everybody to copyright their material. That way, if you become very successful with it, you'll actually get paid. So a lot of people forget to do. The next thing you want to do on the music side of it is to be registered with one of the P.R.Os, which is a performing arts performing rights organization. There's only 3 in the United States, so you can choose from SEASAC, ASCAP, or BMI. Currently, BMI is the most expensive. It's $50 to register as a writer, $150 as a publisher. ASCAP is $50 as a writer, but if you register through Song Trust, it's free. SEASAC is actually free to register as a writer or publisher, but it's by invitational. So the reason for doing that is so that you can get paid. If you get a song in a film, a TV commercial, a video game, a TV show, the only way you're going to get paid is if the TV station or network, they pay one of these entities and they pay you. They pay the publishers pay the writers. So you should certainly, if you're a songwriter, have yourself registered with one of these agencies as a writer, and then ultimately set yourself up as a publisher or sign your materials to a different publisher so that you can get paid. I do have a publishing company, A1A Music Publishing. Pull that up. So if you have songs that you've written that you'd like, you're going to go ahead and register as a writer, and you don't want to be your own publisher, you want to submit them to A1A Music Publishing for consideration, or to any other publishers. A lot of publishers you can submit to. The biggest are currently Sony, Universal, and Warner Chappell. Those are the three big companies that own all the other companies you've ever heard of. So you can certainly submit to them as well. But it's important to do that, otherwise there's people that have music placed in film and TV shows, and they literally will never get paid. So it's certainly worth doing. I have business cards here that I'll be handing out later. If anyone has any questions, you can certainly email me or call me. But I would definitely urge you to get yourself set up as a writer and or publisher. So currently, probably one of the most effective ways to make money with your music is through placement. As people probably are aware, it's kind of hard to make a lot of money selling downloads at whatever you're able to get, 60 cents or something like that. So if you get a song placed in a film, a TV show, a TV commercial, a video game, there's some substantial money to be made, and you continue to license that song over and over and over again. That's what I do with Audio Motion Music. You can go to Audio Motion Music. There is Submit Music, an artist page, and you can create a login and submit as much music as you want. There's no limit, and there's no fee of any kind, and there's no commitment. You're not offering me any license or agreement to do anything with it. What happens is I search my own database when looking for music for films and TV projects, and then if I find something that fits, I would contact you and tell you the details, and then at that time you could decide whether you want to go forward with it. And you'd get paid and get in a contract, and if that film or TV project were to get aired and go places, you would then collect royalties through whoever you signed up with, ASCAP, EMI, or CSAC. So I would urge you to submit music to Audio Motion Music. Again, it's free, there's no commitment, it just creates opportunity for you. Currently I'm working with a lot with a company called Moguldom Films. They're become a worldwide company, media company. I don't know if any of you have heard of the website Bossip, but they get about 40 million unique users a month. The Moguldom Media Group is now bigger than BET and pretty much anyone you can come up with. They own Bossip, which is their Latin division, Hip Hop Wired, Madame Noir. They're launching their own subscription service. They're going to be having, now they're in South Africa, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Fort Lauderdale, Detroit, New York City. This is one of the films I did with them. I've done 15 films with them in the last 19 months. and they use a lot of independent music. You can go onto their site and watch teasers for a bunch of the films that they've already done. And they get a lot of play with their films. They just signed a 3-year film, or not sync it to picture of any kind. So that's the difference. If you want to record an Aerosmith song, you can record it all day long, and as long as you pay Harry Fox 9.28 cents per.
That's to put it on your record.
Right, but if you want to put it on film, then the publisher, say it's Sony, they have to say, okay, we'll sign off on the publishing, and we'll sign off on the fact that you're using an alternate recording. Most of the time, if somebody's going to sign off, it's a notable act. If they're going to give you permission to use an alternate recording, they're going to want to hear it.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not,
Right.
making them look bad. But a lot of people are getting smarter and smarter and saying, look, if they get paid part of from the label as well, then they just say no. You can't re-record it. Then you either pay both fees or you don't get it, which is good and bad. I prefer to be able to have the cost savings and re-record it. But it used to be a lot of people would make compilation albums and record, you could record 10 different popular tracks, put them on an album by different bands, but that's when you were selling an album for $15. Now if you do 10 songs times 9 cents, there's 90 cents. It's hard to get that money back, but that's why you don't see as much of it anymore. But that's, all you have to do is go online to Harry Fox Agency, create an account, and it changes, you're right, at certain levels it changes.
I had done a cover of White Room, which is a Cream song,
Uh-huh.
and I paid $99, one-time fee, unlimited use, but up to 2,500 downloads. After that, it was another $99, and then after 5,000 downloads, then it was like $1,000 or something. It went up a lot at that point. So
Yeah. It can, and the good thing about creating a master recording of a pop song is that then what I would do with that is I would tell people like myself, I would contact the publisher of that track. So if you record Aerosmith song, you look up the publisher and say it's Sony, you contact the publisher and say, hey, I have another master recording, it's really good, in case you have a client that can't afford the original.
Because Aerosmith's notorious, they want like $1 million a song usually, right?
Right.
That's why I use them as an example, because they're kind of
they charge a lot.
they don't want their songs being used.
But you can create a pretty good database of popular music where you own the master, and then if you get the word out there, then people could continue to license your master. And I think in The Great Gatsby there was a Louis Armstrong track in closing credits, and that's not Louis Armstrong. It's a guy from Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, cool.
And,
Because as long as the publisher plays ball, that's going to be cheaper for you
Right.
to use the alternate version than to use the
yeah,
original.
you actually save quite a bit of
A
money.
lot.
Because you can re-record anything these days, as you know, for $1,000.
You hear it all the time on TV, they steal like half of a song because they didn't want to pay for the whole thing.
Yeah. There's some good versions and some bad versions. And some of them, I think, the publisher made a mistake.
Yeah, they're going to let it go out
They
there.
sound so terrible. Any other questions? Yes.
If you are working with Moguldom and looking for a particular thing, like a young boy singing America the Beautiful, does it make sense to hold auditions for something like that? Is it something that you might like for us to do with you to say?
If they know it, if there's enough lead time, sure. She just let me know that yesterday. I'll find out on Monday. If they have a week, then no. If they have a month, then yes. So.
Are they asking you to find somebody and 10 other people, or is
No.
it just you? You're going to
Just
find
me.
a person.
Yeah. I'm the only person that licenses all the music and all the music. So I mean, a producer could have a friend, but they can't use anybody else except me because I'm on contract with them.
So that would be great. We'd love to do that.
Okay.
With you, because we've got a talent pool of people that we could bring, and tell them you're looking for this, and we can make some phone calls and you can come, or we can send you the videos.
Yeah, that'd be
I
great.
mean, that would be something that would be a good partnership.
Yeah, and that's one that I know will be in the film, because that's the plan. Yes.
Yes, I'm a lyricist. I don't do any music.
Mhm.
Okay, so how would that work for me with you and your company as far as just sending in the lyrics?
Well, you could certainly, send the lyrics. Like I said, we do use just printed lyrics on the screen
Mhm.
if they fit the message we're trying to convey at that time.
Mhm.
I would also urge you to copyright your lyrics.
Yes.
And there's a gentleman, there's several songwriters here. He's a songwriter.
Okay.
He's a songwriter.
Yeah, so this kind of, oh, okay.
That I would, exchange contact information with and send them your lyrics. And as they're writing, maybe they come up with something, they have different artists they work with that might work for it.
Thank you.
Sure.
And you need to get on the lyrics right now on the, what'd you say you were looking for lyrics with the specific,
Ferguson?
Ferguson and
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah,
like that?
absolutely.
I got
You
that.
get right on that.
And that's something where you could, if you wrote, a poem to, with a specific message about that kind of violence,
Mhm.
where it could just be spoken word, you or anybody on camera,
Mhm.
So it's not, they use a ton of content. They go out and shoot very specific content in interviews, and then they look to fill in between all those items, so there's a lot of stuff.
And they pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we fair use what we can, but that's usually stuff that's already out there, like a clip from CNN or something. We'll use that without paying for it under fair use. But if we're going to a specific artist or songwriter, we pay, and I negotiate those deals. And we don't ask for anything for free, so cheap enough for me.
So how did you get into the music supervision business?
Actually, I was a musician a long time ago. I was in a band, had a lot of, didn't make any money, and then entered, technology workforce for a long time, and then had an opportunity to come to Florida and wanted to go back to doing what I really like to do, is something involved with music. And I went to an event out in Los Angeles, a Billboard music event, music for film and TV. They have it every year, and I went to a music supervision panel, and I thought that it was kind of like the new A&R at the time, where you're involved in business, but you're making artistic decisions, selecting music, composers, sound designers, artists, having things written, re-recorded, but it's really on the business end of it. So I thought that was a good fit because I'm not as prolific as some people, Some people here in the audience, they can write in their sleep. I wrote some songs years ago, but it's an interesting line of work. Like I say, you deal with artists all day, but then there's the contract side of it. So.
Now, as far as artists submitting music to your website, do you mind pulling your website up again so we can get some visuals on that?
Now, can you submit a featured film at all? Is there a tie-in with Moguldom or, along those ends, or?
Actually, I'm not sure if they're looking at finished films right now. They probably will be, because I think that ultimately they're looking to launch their own subscription service, kind of a urban Netflix, So, but they are currently looking at scripts. They're in negotiations with one right now, so they're not able to create enough content on their own. They're filming Don't Shoot in Detroit. They have a full studio in Atlanta and also in New York, but they're not able to keep up with the crew, so the amount of content they want to create. So they're going outside to the scripts and even the production companies to augment what they're doing and produce as much content as they want. So if you've got scripts, or I can certainly ask them about finished films as well. Yeah.
When you say they're not able to keep up, for whom?
For themselves, really. They created the films division because of the appetite they have between their 7 websites. They're doing, they said over 60 million unique viewers a month. And so they launched the films division, and now that's really taking hold. So they make, you know, we're putting out a film every month.
They're full-blown urban.
Well, they have been. They launched their Latin division last year, and now they're really looking to broaden, you know, open it up. Just across the board, really, because I think, you know, at least here in the States, everybody's watching and listening to urban music, and so I don't, you know, I think they've made their stronghold there, and they launched Latin division last year. They opened in South Africa last year, and now they're looking to open up the content to just, you know, the whole audience. So that's why I say whatever scripts or films you may have, certainly deliver it to them and see what they say. I would say probably by this time next year they might have their own subscription service. So.
Would you say that there is a specific formula to songwriting? What should go into a song? More so if this is the opening with a chorus, opening with a verse. What do you recommend for an ideal song structure?
You know, I'm still used to the, you know, verse, second verse, bridge, chorus, kind of old school way of doing things. It still sounds best to my ears, but, you know, people start with a chorus all the time. There's some people in the audience here that can probably address that as well. I think the main thing for me, and I know there's a lot of music out there that is so-called hit, but to me it's not really a good song. You know, it's on the radio every day, but the next day, or the next minute, I don't think you can hum a bar of it. I think, to me, the key is going from the verse to a bridge that's interesting, and then from the bridge to the chorus, where it creates some real dramatic tension. So when you land on that chorus, you have that, you know, finally it's landed.
Because the profit margin went down so much for the big labels, and piracy and everything else, being able to download a song off of YouTube. As I'm sure you're probably all aware, you can go onto YouTube and you can download the video file and strip out the audio and put it on your iPod. Well, that kind of killed the music business in a big way. The good news is anybody can put a song on iTunes. Anybody who has Pro Tools or any type of recording equipment in their house can make a track. They can make something now between loops and sampling and keyboard sounds and stuff. They can make something that sounds pretty darn good, and now they have the opportunity to expose it to the world. That's kind of a double-edged sword, because as great as that's a powerful technology to be able to have that kind of accessibility, the problem is, how do people know you're there? And that's kind of the YouTube, I call the YouTube dilemma, or the iTunes dilemma. You know, you've got 800 billion videos there. And if you're a musician or a music artist, or you have any talent at all, and you're trying to get exposure and hopefully make a living at what you love, how do you get noticed? And if you get noticed, how do you turn it into money? So that's kind of the challenge that I felt as a producer for many years, as kind of the late 1990s and then 2000s rolled around, and I saw the music business changing so much, and I saw so many of my friends who were big shots that had no jobs anymore, and everybody's a consultant now. Everybody wants to get paid as a consultant. Well, what are you consulting for? You no longer have a job. So the business model that they represented, the big major labels, have changed drastically now. And what's happened is labels are more like distributors. They don't develop talent like they used to in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. They want something when it's already got 100,000 likes or 500,000 likes on Facebook, and it's got 2 million views on YouTube, then the labels will take notice. Okay, well that's not easy to do. As we all know, that takes a lot of elbow grease to get fans to come and find your music. It's a lot of Facebook, it's a lot of word of mouth, it's a lot of, you have to kind of have a pretty healthy understanding of internet and business to get eyeballs and ears onto what you're doing. So having said all that, you know, I felt like, wow, you know, MTV back in the day was a great model because it gave exposure to artists that were emerging when it first started, and it wasn't just the major label artists. Back in 1981 when it started, it was a great model. And then, of course, you know, the major labels kind of took it over and it became just the superstars. With YouTube, the same kind of thing happened because then Vivo came along. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Vivo. Vivo was partnered with YouTube. It was started by the same people that started YouTube. And then it got sold to Sony and Universal. Sony and Universal and Warner Brothers are really the three big major labels that are left. Sony, which was RCA and BMG, merged with Sony. All the labels have merged because they're not making the money they used to make in order to be able to maintain their model, which is a lot of overhead, big buildings, big expenses. They needed to consolidate. So in doing that, they created Vivo. Vivo is kind of like the elite of YouTube. It's the big artists. It's the artists, even some independent artists that are bigger, that have gotten noticed. Not just anybody can get on Vivo. And they have a streaming channel, you know, and they do expose artists, but it's pretty much like getting a major label record deal. It's hard to get on Vivo. And they're kind of the only game in town. So I kind of, again, seeing this model, I said, wow, how can I maybe come up with an idea that's going to get anybody in the world who's got good music to upload a video to more of a niche site, meaning a site that's just for music and not for cats falling over roofs or selfies or anything else. Because that's all well and good, but if you have to filter through all that to find your song, you know, that's difficult. So I just thought the traditional 24/7 streaming TV type model was a great model. And now with the compatibility with mobile and tablets, you can have a stream anywhere in the world 24/7. So the idea was give an independent artist, anybody, the opportunity to get into a 24/7 stream and give them eyeballs. So having been blessed with being in the record business for 30 years, I had a pretty big network of connections, and I used some big artists that I knew at the time. I launched my site and said, hey, please give me some content, help me with social media, let's create this thing. And you know, I'm helping them with exposing their new albums, and they help bring eyeballs, and we got to where we had about 200,000 or 300,000 subscribers. And then I started going out to the music community and saying, okay, now it makes sense for you to give me your video because you're going to get 300,000 people looking at your video. Or in YouTube, it's one video and it's buried inside of 80 billion other videos. But with us, you log on and you'll see right now this needs to be refreshed. That's why it's not on. So, when you, now, I don't know if you remember, any of you remember Fuse? Oh, that's Julia from Fuse. She is no longer with Fuse and she's with our channel. And this is a commercial for our network, and it happens to be in the middle of the broadcast. So we took a little bit of that kind of original MTV vibe and we kind of married it with like the website 2.0 feel. And again, these are all independently produced videos. They're all very slick, they're all very well done. Most of them cost nothing, or very little. You know, they had NYU students or friends that had an HD camera, and they had a good idea. They had a clever idea. And it didn't take a lot of money, but it took a lot of hard work. And this is the TV show now that we were talking about. We just shot in Mavericks. We just shot episode 3 last night. Production company from Jacksonville, Florida, right from here. And basically, this is one of what we have. It's an independently produced program, but we co-produce it with the local production company here in Jacksonville. And this is kind of an American Idol, but for the song. So it highlights songs, not artists, even though the artists sing their songs and they perform their songs. But basically, it's a chance for the artists to get their songs heard, just like performing on, you know, then it's voting online and all that kind of stuff. But it's filmed right here in Jacksonville. So the basic nuts and bolts of the site are similar to other sites out there. The one thing that separates IndieMusicTV from a lot of other sites is what we call, if you see in the top right, the social media broadcast network. What we did was, like I said before, I mean, social media is so important with anything these days, especially exposing talent and breaking new music. So I kind of thought, well, why not put a social broadcast, a social community together with broadcast? And that had really not been done before, so we coined the phrase the social media broadcast network. So for instance, when an artist comes and signs up, if you look in the top right hand, it says join, log in. There's like 3 different places so you don't miss it. I'll scroll down here and you'll see, and I'll show you an artist account. This is our top 21. I'll just click on one of these. This is the artist that happens to be number 1, who I believe is from Naples, Florida. Now, very much like Facebook, if you look at the look of it. The artist has a wall, they can post, people can comment. You know, they have a bio, there's some other pages you can click on and go through. But basically that's their kind of their page, their personal page when they sign on. And you can sign on for free, and you can upload 1 video for free. We have a $29.95 a year account where you can upload 10 videos, and then a $99.95, $100 a year for 100 videos. And with those, you also get MP3s that you can upload as well. Like you see those little violins, that's somebody didn't upload an icon, which you can do, but sometimes they don't, so you just get that generic, you know, icon. And if you don't have videos, you still will get ears on your music. We have a widget where once you're a member, and you can become a viewer for free as well. You can log on as a viewer. Once you log on, you can vote on the other videos, and you can comment, and you can become part of the community and support your local musicians or your friends or superstars, whoever happens to be on here that you want to interact with. And again, it's great because it's an intimate and an instant dialogue with the musician or with the group as well. So if you don't like their music, you can tell them. If you love their music, you can tell them. And we feel this dialogue is really important because I think in order to monetize music, you really have to have a sense of what is people like and what sells and what doesn't sell. So there's really no better way than having immediate feedback. So that's a big part of the site, is connecting the fan with the musician or artist or band, saying, okay, what do you want to hear? What do you like? What don't you like? And it gives them a chance to also fine-tune their career with their fan base or potential fan base. So it also, I think, raises the bar a little bit too, because although anybody can upload a video to the site, only the best of the best gets in the broadcast. So what happens is, if we'll go back to the home page. Someone uploads a video, it immediately becomes available on the home page. And let's take this, just for argument's sake, Benny Strickland, okay, just uploaded this video. Done not a lot of views, has 299 views, has 36 votes. If you like the video, you play the video. You want to go for the video, you just click on there, look for it. Okay, we just got one more video. Ooh, our vote. Again, there's comments on the bottom as well of videos. You can see what we scroll through all the videos. You know, you can make comments and again, tell people what they think of your video. But again, the most powerful part of the site is giving the artist the ability to immediately get in that 24/7 worldwide broadcast, which is available on cross-platform app, Android, you know, OS, iOS, you know, iPhones, iPads, and of course, you know, all different platforms. Pretty much every platform, I mean, Android and iOS, and obviously desktop. It's available on all 3. We produce a few different independent shows. These are just music videos, but it's like kind of the underground art fashion scene in New York City. And we actually were blessed to make a licensing deal with A.N. And this show here, you can watch the trailer. It's a 4-time Emmy Award-winning show called Private Sessions that was on A.N. for 5 years. But A.N. is not A.N. anymore. They're Mountain Men and Storage Wars. They're not arts and entertainment. So this was sitting on a shelf, and I became good friends with Lynn Hoffman, who's the host. And I said, well, what's going on with that show? She's like, it's sitting in a can. So I made a licensing deal with them. And we picked up 65 episodes of this, and we were blessed to have such great content.
Wow.
And this show now will air, and then independent videos all around it in the 27 broadcasts. So now you're getting people watching Hall & Oates and Heart and all these big acts, and then someone from Jacksonville. It's great exposure for artists to be now, which you're not going to get on YouTube, and you're not going to get on MTV or VH1, the 5 videos that they do play, or in Vivo. You know, you're not going to get in their broadcast, because if you watch even their stream, they have a Roku channel. Does anybody know what Roku is? Anybody heard of it? Basically, Roku Box is a box you buy if your TV is not a smart TV. It enables you to now access the internet through a traditional TV. Pretty much all TVs now are smart TVs, so most people don't need the Roku Box anymore, but back in 2008 when they launched it, there was no such thing as a smart TV. And then, you know, Netflix started streaming and Blockbuster started streaming. Well, how do you watch a stream? How do you watch YouTube? You needed some type of box to connect the internet to your TV. So kind of now the lines are kind of blurred with traditional broadcast and web broadcast. So we're kind of at a real crossroads with that, and I think it's an interesting time. I think ultimately the conglomerates of controlling content, the ISPs, the internet service providers, the Comcasts, and I think they're going to become basically just, you know, ISP providers. They're not going to be providing you with channels anymore, because for you to pay for channels when you can get it on the internet for free, creating a real dichotomy for the model. And they're also gouging people, and they're charging a lot of money, and you know, there's a lot of territorial stuff going on with them where one company cannot go and compete with another company, which I'm sure you're all aware of. If you have Comcast, it's very hard to get anything else. If you have Time Warner, it's very hard to get anything else. It's like where I live, we have something called Optimum TV in New York. I can't get Time Warner or Comcast or Fios. I can only get Optimum, so I have no choice. I have one choice, and that's it. So we're trying to kind of jump to the head of the bus, so to speak, and be on the cutting edge of what's happening with broadcast, and at the same time give independent artists, because we feel the independent artist sector has always been where all the new music comes from. Major labels don't start trends. They pick up on trends after they're already happening. I mean, voguing, the twist, all these great things that have happened in music over the last 50, 60 years, jazz, R&B, started on little independent labels, and then the big majors came in and took it over and said, oh, well, this makes money now, so we're going to control it. But now the power is in the hands of you guys, which is great. And that's pretty much what IndieMusicTV is. It's a tool designed for artists like yourselves to now have a worldwide portal and exposure for it. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Yes, your Do I Have a Hit song, you didn't talk about that. So how do artists submit for that? And you're saying it's going to be here in the city, so how would artists submit to that? Would they go to this site?
You would not submit through our site. There's a site called doihavahitsong.com. And if you'll see there's an ad for it there. I believe if you click on it, I'll make a lie right now. It goes to their site. That's it. And you go to sign up right there and you submit. We partnered with them, and we're the exclusive broadcaster of this particular show. I think it's a great show. I'm very excited about it. I mean, it's not just about the song. I mean, obviously some of these artists are great singers and performers as well. But the idea that it highlights the creativity and not just the flash and how cute you are and how great you look on stage, because as much as obviously I support video, and I'm a big part of the video technology now, I mean, the bad thing that video did was it made visual as important, if not more important, than the music. And that's not a good thing. But at the same time, I think fashion and music were always kind of tied at the hip. And I think they always will be. And I think the fact that it's another chance to be more creative with your video and to use it in a way where the visual doesn't deter the music. It adds to it. It's the same thing as a live performance. You can go on stage and do crazy things, and people are going to watch you, and maybe they'll applaud, and maybe they won't. But if you're doing crazy things, and you're playing great, and you're singing great, well, now you've got a pretty compelling performance. So, we feel video as a medium for music. I think it's kind of here to stay. And I think it's pretty much, the internet is pretty much where it's going to live, not so much on traditional TV. But it'll be interesting to see what happens But this is very exciting. It's an exciting show. We're now just starting to get TV coming to us. We've had a couple of internet providers approach us and say, we like your channel, we want your channel. Well, we want to get paid for the channel because we want to be able to give money back to the artists. That's what it's all about, ultimately. And now we're finally getting to the point where they're coming to us and saying, okay, we'll give you a small fee per subscriber to air your channel. Then a portion of that goes back to the artist, and that's exciting. Because none of the cable companies are doing that. Not with MTV or VH1 or whatever music is left on TV, the artists see very little, if anything, from that. So, being a musician, first and foremost, myself, I'm protective of that because that's kind of the dilemma that we're in, is how do you create music if you can't afford to do it? If no one's going to pay you for it, everybody has to have another job. You can't just create music and make a living from it. Guys like Jim and what Jim is doing, you know, that's amazing because he's giving independent artists. You don't have to have an uncle in the business, or you don't have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody to get a song in a movie. That's really powerful. That's great. Because, you know, that kind of catches fire. Because once you get 1 or 2 or 3, they're going to always come, Jim's always going to come back and say, hey, you got another track like that did really well in that movie, and the producers loved it, and, you know, and that, you're in it. Then you can make a living, you know. That's the exciting part, is that you don't have to be signed to a major label. You don't have to be a big shot. You don't have to know a big shot. You just have to have, you know, be smart and look around and see what's on the web, and just work hard at your craft. And, you know, the tools are there now for you to do it on your own. And that's exciting, because then no one's telling you what to do. You sign it to a label, label's going to tell you what to do, they're going to want to own everything. And ultimately, if you're not happy with what they're doing, you're locked into a contract. And although it's work now, and it's a lot to learn, it's a learning curve to interface with marketing and promotion on the business end, as well as create your content, you're your own boss, you know, and you're doing what you love, and what greater way to make a living, you know? So, I'm committed to that, and that's what my model, IndieMusicTV, is pretty much all about, is to give people that opportunity, or add to it, anyway.
On IndieTV, do you have the availability for artists to sell music through the site?
We are launching something that actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. Let me go to the stream, maybe we'll get lucky and one will pop up. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Locking up for some reason. Yeah? Okay. The top left-hand corner of our stream, when you watch videos, not every artist has this yet. You do have to pay. The minimum is $29.95 a year. And what we give you is, we give you something we call a live EPK. In the top left-hand corner, it pops up. It's got a little square icon of your album, your CD. It says, like this artist, want to know more? You click on it, a menu drops down, and you see 4 links. Now you as the artist get to pick what those links go to. Your iTunes, your CD Baby account, your Reverb Nation account, SoundCloud, your own website wherever you're selling music, and you can buy anything that an artist has to offer directly from our stream while you're watching the stream in real time, and we don't take anything from that. The artist gets 100% of whatever the sale is. So that's something we're very excited about. But we're just starting to launch it now, and it's desktop compatible, and in 30 days it'll be cross-platform. The unfortunate situation is with the Android and iOS, which is, you know, Apple. They're like 2 completely different languages, and there are very few things that are cross-platform compatible. And that's the big challenge now. It's the 2 different formats to make something work on everything. So that's kind of, we're facing that challenge. And we're able to do it, but it's in beta right now. We haven't launched it full-time on the site yet. But we have about 100 artists that have these ads, but we have thousands of videos in rotation. So, you know, not every artist has that ad yet. But that is one way that we offer, you know, making money through the site. Any other questions?
Silly question, why a top 21 instead of a top 20 countdown?
Why not? It's different. If I told you the truth, you'd think I was an idiot. I'll tell you where it came from.
It's 3, rows of 3.
Thank you. The way the site worked out, with the way our web developer designed the site, I can go on and I can change the length of columns on either side. But if one column gets bigger, one gets smaller. So I liked, with advertising and having what's called 300 by 250, which is the ad you see in the top there, it's very standard. Those are 100 by 600, they call skyscraper ads. And of course, that's one of the ways we help pay for streaming and everything else, because it's very expensive when you have hundreds of thousands of people logging on. It's a lot of bandwidth. We have to pay for that. So that helps offset the cost, that advertising. To get the columns right, I like the idea of 3 videos, and I hated the one having a blank. And everybody's like, that's brilliant. Nobody's done a 21. It's different. It's blackjack. I'm like, I mean, the number one reason is because, you know, being in the record business for as long as I've been in the business, I wanted to make sure that the quality was absolutely top shelf. And if you look on Reverb Nation or you look at some of these other companies that have local stuff, some of it's good, some of it isn't good. And if anybody can upload stuff, then once we get to that point, we want to, you know, again, we're not trying to be elitist, but what we're trying to do is maintain something that's absolutely broadcast quality 24 hours a day. And I mean truly broadcast quality. And that's, again, why cable companies are coming to us, because it's, you know, it's as good as VH1 or MTV or any other channel out there that's doing it, you know, on a top level. So it was important that we do that. But that's a great idea, and it is definitely something. And also crowdfunding. I've had a bunch of different crowdfunding companies approach us to partner with them. And we're talking about that because that's great. I don't want to do a crowdfunding site. We're not going to do, IndieMusicTV is never going to do crowdfunding. We will partner with somebody that does that because I feel that's a whole separate business model that should be addressed completely unto itself. And, you know, we're happy to partner with that and give our artists an opportunity to do that, but that, you know, we're really more of a social media broadcast company. You know, we give you the social media tools and we give you the broadcast. You can't do everything, you know. I mean, to me, that's a separate business model. I mean, you guys are experts at that. That's what you do. You know, we try to keep to what we do, and that's something that, again, if it makes sense, we'll partner. We've been approached. We'll partner with the right company for that.
Your feng shui on my phone makes it it needs a top 24 count. It kind of trails off. But
Oh, I hate that. See, now I'm going to have to design it just for your screen.
I'm just saying, it comes in 6s now, you know?
Turn the phone around the other way.
We're working on a new one. In 6s, yeah.
Depending on the phone, you know what a responsive site is? It's a mobile responsive site. It changes depending on, and it's not going to be the same on every screen. It readjusts for each screen. You know, we looked at apps, mobile apps. The thing I don't like about apps, and Rick is yelling at me all the time, you gotta have apps, you gotta have apps. We did an app right away. Nobody downloaded it because it didn't have enough features. And at the time when we did our first app in 2012, you couldn't stream through an app. Nobody had done that yet. So I was like, well, if you can't watch our stream, what's the point? I don't want people logging onto an app and they can only do VOD. That's YouTube. That's been done. That's not what we want to do. So now you can do that. But now we're at a point where, okay, but you know, you're not going to get all the features in an app that you would get going on the site. So we fight about it all the time. But we will be putting out apps. I'm not sure what I want the app to look like. And I don't want to, we don't have the budget to do 10 different apps at this point. And we may have to do multiple apps. An app for uploading, an app for streaming. And, you know, so if you want to idiot-proof and you go to Google Play and you click on the app and you install it and it immediately streams our site. That's great. That's great. It's TV. And it's really just TV. It doesn't have any of the other features. So, again, you know, it's still a work in progress. You know, we haven't figured it all out yet. So we're just kind of...
And it changes.
Yes, every minute, every millisecond, the model changes. So, you know, and it's tough. You got to stay on top of it. You know, you're doing it too. So, get it. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You Now, this gentleman that I'm about to bring up, I met him last night as well, thanks to Mr. Jim Laquidara. He is my music supervisor. I'm not going to ask any artist to do anything that I won't do myself. So I have signed on the dotted line. I am officially published by A.N Music Publishing. Thank you very much. The gentleman that I'm getting ready to bring up now is a publicist. And after speaking with him for 15 minutes, I could tell that he was passionate about what he does. He has an excellent personality. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Rick Eberle.
Wow, you actually got the name right. It's usually Eberle or whatever they try to say. I'm actually Chris's publicist, and I do want to just quickly say that the reason I thought it might be valuable for me to say something is I'm an artist that's used services like this to get songs published and get songs on television shows. So my band is Iridescence. It's my sister. She sings and plays bass, and I sing and play guitar, and we've been writing together for 20-something years. And around the turn of the century, we had an album out that we were, kind of flirting with some labels with, but we didn't end up putting it out on any majors. But what we did was we had songs, we thought that they were quality songs. And so we started doing everything we could to try to reach out to people like Jim. I mean, to have a guy, a music supervisor who's nice and approachable like Jim, that's basically telling you to send him stuff, you better all send him stuff. Because most music supervisors that you run into are not going to be like Jim. Because they're inundated with people wanting to get their music on there, and they're almost too busy, or they don't want to give the personal touch. So I really think I want to say thank you to Jim for doing this and coming out and offering a good service to musicians, because it's very difficult. But long story short, what we did is something that's very prevalent when you're trying to get onto a network in the television world. We were on Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon and Viacom did a deal with us and said, we're not giving you anything up front, but we're going to license both your full albums. If they get placed, if you're with BMI, who we are with, or ASCAP or CEASAC, you're going to collect your residuals. So at the time, we were like, oh, what's that going to end up being? And we'll tell you that we've been on the shows Drake and Josh, which some people probably heard of. iCarly is another big one. And Zoe 101, which was the biggest show ever on Nickelodeon, which Britney Spears' sister is on that, Jimmy Lynn, Victoria Justice was on that show. Very big show, and it's also now in syndication. So we initially started getting our songs on those shows in 2003. And I'm still getting checks from BMI. And it's a 4-member band, and I'm a nice guy, even though I wrote most of the songs, I split it 25% with my guys. Even my drummer gets 25%.
No.
He does. You don't have to do that. I'm not trying to diss drummers, but I'm the one who sat there in my room with my acoustic guitar and wrote the song. So a lot of guys, but that breaks bands up, okay? And these days there's no way to make money except doing this. So if you want to be in a band with someone, you do have to give them some of your publishing, okay? Guys, you really should. But long story short, I've made over 100 grand. Okay, let that sit in.
Wow.
Okay, 100 grand.
As an indie.
I haven't split it 4 weeks, but I made 25 grand personally. Now, if I was one of you guys that wrote your song, and we were on 3 different television shows. On Nickelodeon, it ran in syndication for 12 years now. I mean, it took a while. It's not that much money if you do it over 12 years, but it's impressive. So it wets your whistle, and it makes you excited about it. And as a few of the gentlemen already brought up, it's really impossible now. The model in general has made it impossible to make money selling your songs. Okay, Spotify's not helping. Okay, because they give you like a penny, less than a penny, percentage of a penny. You could, my friend manages Bayside and Under Oath, some post-hardcore bands, which you may have heard of. They get millions and millions of plays on Spotify, and they make like $50. And it's just, Chris was telling me on YouTube, Happy streamed 52 million times or something ridiculous, and he made $4 grand. $4 grand! Pharrell. I mean, so why put your song on YouTube? It's not going to do anything for you. Putting your songs on IndieMusicTV, that's going to do something for you. Working with MeeMeeTV, working with the independent side of things, that's what's going to help you guys. And there is an opportunity to get yourself to music supervisors, to get the opportunity. But it is a very crowded field. So all I would say as a songwriter, I try and tell a story with my songs. Back in the day when I first used to write, I would just sit there with my guitar and whatever words came out, I would write down. Maybe it was cool, it was stream of consciousness, maybe it was something that people could relate to, but I feel like the competition is so tough now, you have to almost like read the paper and find a story that's interesting and write a song about that, okay? And that's been going on for years and years and years. The song called The Way by Fastball? You guys know that song from the 90s? Anyway,
I love this story about how that song came about, because they asked him, how did you write that song? And if you listen to the lyrics, he did exactly that. He sat in his room and he read the paper, and it was a story about an older couple that left their house in the morning and didn't come back. And no one knew what happened to them. So he thought that was very interesting, so he wrote the song about it. Where were they going without even knowing the way? You know, and it's kind of like you never knew that, and that's what it was all about. It was about them. They basically, unfortunately, they ended up crashing and they passed away, is what happened. They went on like a day trip, and they went off like a ravine or something. But, you know, so that's what I would say as a songwriter myself, that's what I try to do. I think having someone like Jim telling you, giving you specifics is key too. I mean, I wrote a song for a fracking album. I don't know if you guys have heard of fracking. Basically, it's like drilling into the ground and blowing things up so that you can release the natural gas. But basically what it's doing is polluting the environment, polluting the water. I'm not trying to get political, but it's, in general, it's not really a good thing. It's going to hurt us in the long run, okay? I wrote a song about it. I was given the, you know, the subject. They said, write something about fracking. So my song was, the earthquakes have begun, the fracturing is on, is the water still safe to drink? It's given me things to write about. It's stuff that people can relate to. So as a songwriter, I think that's the main thing. Try to write stuff that's relatable. Don't outsmart yourself. Yeah. Don't try to get too cute, all right? You know, stream of consciousness is cool in some ways, but you know, if you're not Adam Duritz or Bob Dylan or someone who's just like an unbelievable literary writer, keep it simple, stupid. You know, my songs are very commercial pop, GCD kind of, you know, uppy stuff. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that works. I don't think you should try and be something you're not, but I just think you need to think a little bit more clearly about what you're doing. Take it as an art. Take it as a skill. You know, don't just be like, I'm just going to write this song and if someone likes it, great. I mean, you have to. We've all as musicians had to get professional. So that's what I think I want to impart, is that it can be done, and it's really all about the ambition, the drive, and just really taking what you're doing seriously. And you can check me out at rickeberle.com. I am a publicist. At the same time as I was, you know, trying to make it in business as a songwriter, I was working at Arista Records, helping shape the careers of people like Usher and Pink and Whitney Houston and Tony Braxton and people like that. So you have to just be versatile. You know, it's all about networking. So, you know, the network that I've built has really enabled me to stay in the business. You know, so just keep doing what you love, guys.
Give us some insight on what exactly a publicist does, for those who don't know.
Well, these days, publicity in the entertainment business is a lot different. A traditional publicist, someone would have like a product that they're putting out, and then I would call like TV and radio, and I would call the local papers, I would call the local government, and we'd do some sort of and get them interviews on radio stations. But because I have all these industry contacts, it behooves me to bring these people into his facility, see the facility, see what's going on. Because a lot of times, guys like me or old label guys are now not working for the labels, because when I was at Arista, there was 50 people on my floor, and now there's like 2, because everybody lost their jobs. So these are very talented individuals. So what we're doing, guys like me, is we find what you did. If you were a radio promoter guy at the label, maybe now you're doing independent radio promotion. I was a new media, okay, which is social media, and PR guy. So now, instead of doing it for label acts, I have acts that come and they hire me on retainer. And I get them on TV, I get them on radio, we do blogging, we do local radio and college radio, traditional PR. I'm also very related to some film festivals, some concert venues, talent agencies. So, you know, PR, it's a lot of things these days. You can get a traditional PR guy, but I would suggest getting someone like me who does everything. I mean, if you don't have a manager, I'm basically your manager. If you don't have an agent, I'm basically your agent. I do everything because I have those contacts. You know, but I wouldn't go hire like you know, a healthcare PR guy to do your, you know, to do your music. You want a guy like me, honestly, because you want a musician that understands you. You know, because that's a lot of things that goes on in this industry too. That's very prevalent, is people are scared because, and I've been screwed too. I've been on that compilation where I paid $600 to be on it, where you get 20 copies of it, and it's getting sent to all these famous big people, and then nothing happens, you know? And that's very disheartening. You know, this service is like Taxi out there, where they charge $300-something a year, plus $5 to submit. And we did it for a few years, and we got nothing. You know, and then when I do that and I get nothing, and then I go on Craigslist and I find Nickelodeon and they give me $100,000, it just shows me like, you know, and someone like Jim, who's placing 15 films, he just told you guys, in the next like few weeks, and he wants you to send shit for free, Stuff, sorry, but we're streaming. You know, he wants you to send it for free. He wants you guys to send him your music. He's not asking you to give him a fee for it. Now, at the end of the day, I'm sure he's going to get a percentage because that's just the way it works. But you'd want to do that. You know, I also work with some producers. I walked some people into Hollywood Records last week. I don't have a contract with them, but I know that if one of their songs gets picked up, they're going to give me a finder's fee. It's just the way that it works. So, you know, just never say no to anything. Just keep yourself versatile. And
Well, that kind of leads in, you had mentioned Arista, so would that tie you into Outkast or?
yeah, I worked with Outkast.
Would
I
it
did.
tie you into Ice Cube maybe, some things?
When you're on that level, you need a guy like Jim. They don't want to hear from a guy like me, like a publicist or anything like that. It's like Jim said, he's the one that's finding the person for America the Beautiful. Like, it's not going to be 20 different agents pitching things, because number one, Jim doesn't want to deal with that. You know, he doesn't want to compete against himself. He'll go to another project. You know, why does he need to deal with that? So it's the same sort of way. These guys want to put someone in a position that they believe in, that they trust to make those decisions.
But you would be able to walk in a script or something?
I would try to go to Jim or someone like that. I personally wouldn't go to a label with that. You want to try to find the right way to get into a place like that. You know, even like with A&R, if you are still chasing a record deal, I don't know why you would be, but if you are, you know, if you're talking to some low-level A&R guy who doesn't have signing power, you might get excited about it, but it's not going to happen. If you're talking to Monty Littman at Universal and you're going to get a showcase for him, the president, that's a different story. You know, so I think that at this point, if you're really trying for something major, you need to be here. And a guy like me is not going to bring your song in to do TV and film placement. It's a whole nother thing. You know, that's something that you really need to focus and find the right guy to be your ambassador. However, like as I was saying, like I'm a one-stop shop. If I do happen to have a personal connection as like I represent film festivals, that's something I may be able to go directly to a director and not have to deal with the music supervisor and help you guys out. But more times than not, I would rather go to someone like Jim because it's his forte. And you know, I think that in any business, knowing what you're supposed to do and what you're not that great at is the number one thing. Like Lou Ply is also a good friend of mine from Reverb Nation, and I, as a musician, am like, I get like sensory overload when I go to his site because they're almost offering too much. Like I don't know what do I want, what don't I want. Like it's you know. Keep it, like again, keep it simple, you know. Do one thing, do it really good, and focus on that.
Jim,
Chris.
Chris, with all the music that will be coming to you guys, you need somebody to play them. I'm a DJ.
All right.
Great.
I would love to get this industry music and be able to play it, maybe festivals, things of the sort. Is there a way I can get contact with you guys?
Absolutely, I'll give you my card. And DJs are the new rock stars.
And do you have room for?
We're always looking for
professional
talent. Any talent that I find, I always have room for the right person.
Okay.
And like I just said, DJs are the new rock stars.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm good friends with Matthew Combs, another guy who wrote that song Clarity. Okay, it was a
Okay.
Grammy-winning top 10 hit.
Right.
You know, he also works with Zed. I mean, trap, like what you mentioned before, EDM is the new thing. I mean, hip hop is second. You know,
Yes, sir.
those are the two big musics.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the new country, if you want to call it country, I call it rock, really.
Yeah.
But that, like Florida Georgia Line, like they're a rock band. You want to call them a country band? That's fine.
There's some new soft,
But I mean,
soft
they're
EDM
rock.
out of LA
Waylon
now
Jennings,
coming
like
out,
you
so
know, that's country.
there's a
Hank
softer
Williams, that's country.
EDM coming out also out of LA. Really nice music for any kind of movies or things like that. It's
Do
some
you
really hot
make
stuff.
your own music, or do you
I do
spin
not
existing
produce. I've
records?
tried that and I'm not good at it.
Well, you know what you could do is just do remixes. That's what's huge.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if
that's
you ever heard
really
of
big.
Total Eclipse from the
Right.
Executioners.
Uh-huh.
I actually did some recording with him a few years back,
Okay.
and that's what he did. You know, like he'll spin, you know, other people's tracks,
Right.
but in a new way, and he'll, you know, switch it up and do residencies. You know,
Right.
and then that's kind of what you.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be making.
I'm not scared to do that type of stuff.
You know, that's the
Remixes,
kind of
the
stuff.
music is already there for me. I
There's
just
a-
have to
You
make
want to
it
talk about a
really
huge
strong.
market. If you can get in with a label guy that believes in your work,
Right.
there's an enormous amount of remix work out there. There's not as much as there used to be around the turn of the century, but
Right.
there's still a lot of work in that world. So again, it's just all about ambition and being out there, you know. The internet has opened up the doors in two ways. You know, number one, it's a good thing because it has leveled the playing field, but it's also a bad thing because there's so much crap.
Yeah,
Everybody thinks that they can be a DJ. Everybody thinks they can be a rock star.
Yeah, I'll say that
So
all the
sites like
time.
IndieMusicTV are kind of, because we have a full programming department, are helping to kind of do the work for you guys because, you know, I can't imagine what Jim goes through. I mean, you know, he says submit my stuff and he's almost a little bit scared. He's like, I'm gonna get 1,000 songs tomorrow. I don't know if I'm even gonna get through them. But I want to because I want to give the artists their just due, but there's only so many hours in a day. So, you know, we're all kind of trying to collaborate together. So, you know, when you submit something, make sure it's your best work so that it kind of helps all of us do it in a more reasonable
Same way.
Yeah. But yeah, I have cards. I'm happy to stay in contact with everybody. And I'm a musician first. I'm only doing this because I, you know, didn't become a millionaire the first time around.
There's still room. There's
My
still
new
time.
thing is, once I become a multimillionaire doing this, then I can just write songs all day long, like I want to. And I can be 80 and it doesn't matter.
Hey, there's still
That's
time.
the beautiful thing. You know, there's no age. And again, you know, we're trying to be about the song. You know, Meatloaf would not have made it, okay? And he's one of the best singers in the last 50 years. But if it was a video world, Meatloaf would have been nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's sad to say, but it's the truth. So, you know, that's it. Thank you, guys.
We're getting ready to close out our first ever Mix and Mingle, broadcasting from CoWork Jax. I want to give a special thank to Ms. Kathryn McCavoy, Mr. Chad Hendricks, Mr. Michael, and Mr. Arthur. He's the technical guy out here, good to see. Big up to MeeMeeTV. Thank you to CoWork Jax, Miss Paige Black. She's not brown. All right, and that's because she just got married. Thank you. And to One Spark for coming out with all their literature. These packages that you have, the Independent Artist Network package, it was compiled by Miss Cynthia Duke, so please give her a round of applause. I want to thank everyone who showed up. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, and I want to thank each one of you who took time out of your busy schedule. I know you are very important and influential people, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming out. Those who was watching live, those who want to watch this on a rerun that's going to be streamed on MeeMeeTV, Jax.com, right? Yeah. Independent artists, be sure to submit your music to audiomotionmusic.com. You'll find me there. Uncle Nod is in this piece. I don't know about you. I'm from Duval. Until our next event, see you soon.